What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Hey, just in case you're curious, there is no buyer's remorse with this Model S, okay? At least not yet. It just gets sweeter and sweeter, and I feel like, why didn't I do this so much sooner in my life? Also, I realized I thought I was gonna get, $4,000 back from the government, but when you're a business owner, you're not capped. And so you get 30% of the purchase price, and it actually doesn't even matter if the price of the purchase is below $25,000. I'm gonna get $7,400 back. Like, that's crazy. And I looked up my energy company, for our house. 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour is what it costs. And they do promos. If you install a fast wall charger, they will let you have 5 cents per kilowatt hour for EV charging, from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. basically, which is more than enough time, especially if you have a fast charger. And like 5 cents, so the whole battery on this thing is 75 kilowatts. So to go from a completely empty charge to a completely full charge is 5 cents times 75. What is that? 5 cents times 100 would be, right? Drag the decimal over 2. $5. $5. So this is 3/4 of $5. So what's that? $3.75? What? That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. What? I mean, right now it's 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour, so I'm spending more like $8 or something like that. What? All right, now to the testimony. The bold move. The bold move. But it is a testimony, because I would not have done this. I absolutely would not have done this were it not for the Lord. And I'm so glad I did, and it is paying off. I'm not talking about the Tesla right now. I'm talking about how I just joined basically an online coaching group that cost me $10,000. Like, what in the world? Oh, the pain, right? But I'm not Mr. Guru guy, right? I'm super sussed out by anyone and everyone all the time. It's not my best trait, but I'm kind of cynical in that way. Working on it, but especially if someone's, of course, is financially incentivized by, my reciprocation of whatever energy they be putting out there. Like, I'm like, I ain't gonna give you that energy. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen. And what happened that led up to me being willing to do this? Well, so the online coaching course, it's a course, it's a coaching group, it's a community, and several things led up to it as far as like, how did God kind of set this up? But one, just functionally, business-wise, I was thinking about BudgetForLife, and like, man, I don't know how to market, and I want to be able to reach people with this, but I need help to be able to do that, right? Like, how do I reach the people out there? And that's basically what this thing specializes on, is digital product marketing. And I was like, well, I have a digital product, but I don't know how to market, so this could be good, right? So just like the flow of where I was at in business, it worked out. But then I still would have never done it, right? But journaling, spending time with God about several different things, but very, very recently, one thing I feel like he's been bringing up in me, or to me, whatever, is relationships and friendships, and him wanting to do some work in my life in that regard. Whether it's like giving, basically I just feel like he was like creating space, like for new relationships And specifically, one thing I had in my mind, or that I felt like he was bringing up, is just as it relates to entrepreneurship, but also like just like a calling towards wealth stewardship. I haven't really talked a lot about that in these YouTube videos, but just feeling like, man, I don't want to be isolated in those regards. Like I want to be seen and known. And so for this, course to come with a community of people that are on a similar hope or a dream or trajectory or intention, I was like, okay, that's interesting. But then here's the kicker, guys. My absolute favorite worship leader, like, there's different kind of categories. Because I could say Jeremy Riddle, okay? But really, like, the person I think of with the highest amount of affinity and the worship leader that's maybe challenged or changed me the most is a guy named Rick Pino. Turns out Rick Pino is the one leading this online course in this online coaching group. So as far as like me being sussed out by people, on one hand, I was like disappointed. I'm like, man, I'm sad that Rick Pino is so successful and now he's talking about business, because I thought he was just a worshiper, But he's not just a worshiper. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, no wonder, because he kind of is like if you don't know him, don't look him up. You can if you want to, but especially in his younger days, like just an overly zealous person. But you can't really be overly zealous, honestly. But a bold worship leader, pushing people past their comfort zone and into an experience with God. And I'm just like, no wonder he was so free. Like, no wonder he led so differently or so boldly or so zealously. It's like behind the scenes, no one knew he's making millions and millions of dollars in business. Like, he wasn't financially dependent on his worship career. You know what I mean? Like, he actually was there to worship. And so while some people might be discouraged of like, oh man, a minister who's wealthy, it's in reality, it's like the fruit of his ministry was so blessed by the fact that his finances were not dependent on his ministry. He wasn't up there on a stage to please the people listening to him, so they invite him back or tell their friends or get a spot at the next conference. Like that's not where his mind's at. And so, anyways, that's a little bit of an aside, but like, as I got thinking about it, I'm like, is there anyone else that I would feel safer signing up for a course with? Like, and just like biblical values and language and scripture references are just woven all throughout this thing. And I'm like, would I really rather go to some random YouTuber that I know for sure doesn't care about me and I know for sure is just trying to make another dollar, versus someone that like genuinely is hoping to impart a skill that like people actualize on? And like, okay, so you pay this $10,000 and it comes with a year of access and all these different things. But if you don't make that much or more, by the time the year's up, they'll let you stay in for free until you do. Like, they really want to see you through this transformation of business acumen. And it's like real. Even yesterday, I was on a call. So they do calls 4 days a week. And this guy that was in his probably 70s has been in the course for 5 days. So me and him, I've been in there for like 2 weeks now. And he was just like saying thank you so much, and like with remorse sharing about how much money he has sunk into different gurus and courses that have way overpromised and way underdelivered, and he's been like taken advantage of. And he's just 5 days in and already like blown away by like, oh my gosh, this is actually legit. Like, it actually works. This is like real. actionable, substantive content with people that are high quality, awesome people and leaders that like are invested in the success of the students, like, and he was just talking from his experience, like he'd never seen anything like it. And even some of the facilitators, like some of the coaches within the program, because it's not just Rick as the only coach, even some of them are like raving about, like, again, like they're not selling us anything. Like, you've already paid everything if you're even in the call. And he's just genuinely like expressing how this is the best course, or like this is the best thing that he's ever seen, that he's facilitated. Like there's never been a better value offer, from anything that he's made or been a part of. And so I just feel like this is getting kind of rabbit traily, like I like to do, but the point is, if Rick wasn't the guy leading it, and if God wasn't speaking to me about relationships and co-laborers in the place of wealth and entrepreneurship, and if my business wasn't, if like my business growth and trajectory wasn't at a place where expanding the reach of Budget for Life felt like a priority, then I would have never ever signed up for this thing. And I wouldn't even know who Rick Pino is if I wasn't like, didn't have this history of being a crazy zealot, you know what I mean? So I just feel like blessed to just have the open door to do it, and super thankful for the quality of it. And literally I'm 2 weeks in, and like I'm barely scratching the surface, but it has already changed so much. It's changed so much, like super practically. Like Common Goods is moving from open 2 days a week to open 1 day a week. And that frees up, like that doubles my available time. Or basically, like it gives me 8 hours more of a work week to work on other things that are more important with a higher ceiling, 8 fewer hours doing something that's less fulfilling, and probably Common Goods will make just as much. Like when I went from 6 days a week, open 45 hours a week, to 2 days a week, open 10 hours a week, like our revenue has grown, like, or at least stayed the same. But like year over year, quarter one to quarter one, 23 to 24, like it's a 19% growth. So we're making more, at least in Q1 we did, with 20% of the hours. So now we're going to cut our hours in half again and see if we can do it again. But the point is, that's just one structural change. But then I'm also realizing there's so many implications to like my financial advising business, like my coaching business. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make this 10 times better, be 5 times as accessible. Like clients can pay, 25 to 50% less, and like they get more content and more coaching and a community. I'm like, and I can make more. I'm like, it's just like all these no duh moments that are hitting me. I'm like, man, I didn't have this feedback loop. I didn't have this group that I could bounce ideas off of so frequently with people that are in the same space. Like they specialize in these worlds. And so I am like, dang, I haven't made $10,000 literally in real time in 2 weeks. But if you zoom out to a year, I'm like, there is absolutely no way that this does not pay for itself. And probably many times over, especially the further out that you go. Because the skills stay with you, Like the cost is one time, but the value is growing exponentially. Particularly if you keep at it. And I don't even have to worry about keeping at it, because it's not like I full sent it, bought this course, quit my job, and okay, let's figure it out. Like I'm 2 years into entrepreneurship, so like we're already like stable. It's just like, what's the growth track? What's the next step? And that's just the only other piece I wanted to testify about is like if you know me, you know that I've had like blogs since literally like sophomore year of high school. Like since I got saved, I've loved writing. And Y'all know, like, I make these YouTube videos, right? Even though they're super low quality, right? All that stuff. I'm like, I like sharing. I like communicating. I like creating and adding value through myself, through my brain, my perspective, my words, my animations, whatever. And so to think about just fulfillment wise, like, I'm going to clear more of my schedule to do more of the things that actually give me the most creative energy, the things that put me in the flow state more than anything else, like more than a one-on-one meeting would, more than running a store would. But like, I can spend hours and hours every week reading and writing and recording and creating and brainstorming and digesting 100 funnels of information and turning them into actionable steps as it relates to someone's personal financial transformation. I'm just like, that's what I want to do. Like, I get to do what I want to do with my time. And even spending, let's say I spend 10 hours a week on that stuff, which right now I spend approximately, 0.5. It's going to go up 20x the amount of time doing the stuff I love the most. Simultaneously, the amount of total time I'll spend working every week will probably get to go down. Because right now, a lot of my week is clogged with a lot of productive but not incredibly scalable activities, from like low-cost one-on-one meetings to store hours where I have to be here. One other piece with the store hours: if I'm ever not here, all right, let me just dive into this real quick. Going from Friday to Saturday probably will make just as much, but there's also some inefficiencies. Because one, let's say I'm out of town. Now, instead of hiring 10 hours worth of can you cover for me, or 12 hours worth, whatever it is, now it's just one day instead of 2 days to hire out labor. Another piece is I'm really hopeful and looking forward to maybe getting to hire someone to run it and I just own it and take distribution. I'm also interested in, like, what if I can find someone that wants to own it, like, and they buy it from me over time. For it to be just Saturday only multiplies the potential pool of interested workers and or owners significantly, because now it's like, it's just one day a week. You might want to do this on top of your job. Like, if you could make 80K or 60K or 100K working one day a week, is that a job you'd be interested in? Right? And it's way more compelling. And so it's worth it for me to figure out how to continue to make those numbers work, even with just one day a week of store hours, because it becomes that much more valuable of a business, like that much more interesting for a purchaser, or that much more possible for, at the very least, just an employee. And so, again, just unlocking efficiencies, opening doors, it's already paying off so big in terms of clearing my schedule, optimizing my time, and it will pay for itself in terms of revenue that I'm able to generate within my businesses. And I'm just scratching the surface. And I'm like, I would have never, like, $10,000, like, like, that's a lot of money for me right now. And so I'm just thankful to God for laying that groundwork and even building this trust that I have with Rick Pino. Like, if I just knew of him, like, I still couldn't do it. Like, I'm way, way, way too sussed out by anything and everything. I'm like, I don't care if you're a Christian, like, I don't care if you love worship. I don't just trust you, you know what I mean? But with Rick, I'm like, even though there's still these signals of what if it's a scam, or what if this is going to blow my money, or what, like, there's enough actual history that is given to me by God, really, that got me to a willingness of, let's do it. And even unity with Megan. Like, 2 years ago, if I had this big business idea and it's going to cost $10,000, like, I'm probably going to do it, and then, like, I'm going to be stressed about, like, oh shoot, how much did I include Megan, or should I even tell her? Like, there was just, like, so much got to take the next step, can't slow down to worry about if Megan likes that step or not. And now, like, just to see like unity in our relationship and in marriage, and like me being just a lot more consistently open and inclusive with her about things I'm thinking, and asking for feedback and weighing her opinion. Like, there's just so much more health now than like 2 years ago. And so anyways, just want to testify about this. Digital Product Academy, DPA, that's the name of it. You can join in if you want. I'll let you know how much it costs. Normally you gotta call for more info to get that type of knowledge. So but man, I'm really thankful to God, and just super excited to see what this next year, this next 10 years of entrepreneurship holds. And I know this is, again, just another turning point, another inflection point. You know, I talked about the soul shepherding retreat yesterday. I talked about how that, which happened like 2-3 weeks ago, was like an inflection point, a turning point for me and my health and my soul and my faith. Like this DPA basically happening simultaneously feels like a huge turning point for me as an entrepreneur and in our finances. And so just want to testify. Thank you, Lord. And hey, stay along for the ride. We'll see what happens with it. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. Life is worship. God is love.